There we go. Okay, happy Tuesday, everybody. So super excited about the topic this week. This is probably like just like the thing that makes my heart sing. It was so funny. I texted Guy in ER yesterday. I was actually driving to a networking event when it popped up the reminder that was like, let's talk about networking in the 21st century. I was like, yes, I wish I could be on that call. So we've already decided we were like, oh, we know what we're going to talk about today. So who networks? Like who goes out and networks, not just shuffle, but for anything? Yeah, a couple of you, a little bit every now and then, maybe.
Can we get a show of hands? Who tries to network offline,
Oh, good,
online, or both?
good question.
Both? Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that's part of it, right, Kathy? When we talk about networking in the 21st century, and I'm going to really lean on Kathy today because I know you are out and about all the time. You are a member of multiple business networking groups. You use the technology that we have between Shuffle and Tap to support and facilitate that. And I think we want to speak to that. And then we want to get into some nitty gritty. A few other people on this call as well. Ruben, I know you do it within your NTI community as well. And again, these are these best practices that we're trying to enlighten the rest of the world to, that there's a better way to do things. If you do it the old way, you might not always get the results you're looking for. If you lean into the new way, it makes things more efficient. It makes things, transactional, fast, easy, all of those things that really technology is intended to do, right? I mean, think about any technology you use. The reason you use it is because it made things a bit more efficient, right?
Faster, easier, made more sense. It was in your pocket. You should just go down the line, right? All the things. So you can put it in the chat if you guys want to. I love that. If you do offline, online, one or the other, prefer one or the other, whatever, that just kind of tells us kind of where you guys are at and what you're doing. And again, the best way to serve y'all in future calls. But one of the things ER and I was talking about, and of course, he had this great idea. I was like, oh, I love it. So I'm actually off to a conference next week. And for this particular conference, this is a group that I run. And he was like, hey, you could have in your pocket some ideas for the other people that run the groups like you run. What if you had like something, a chapter card, or this card, here's how to become a member, here's an invitation to the group. And I was like, oh, yes, I could do one main card that links off to some ideas to share with the other leaders. So I think one of the things, and we talked about this too, is we have 10 cards. Some of us have more, that's good too. But even with the 10 cards, make sure whatever it is you're going to, you have the card made for the purpose, right? We always say the right card to the right person at the right time, or the right information to the right person at the right time. So if I go next week and all I have is maybe a card on how to join, which I have, and a card on, here's my members' affiliate codes to join, whatever it is, right? I don't have one that says, hi, I'm Kathy. I run this chapter. I'd love to connect with you. And oh, by the way, here's a little tool that I run, in my chapter. Let's connect if you have any questions. That's a whole different card than just like, hey, I'm Kathy. I do these other things as well. The things that I usually introduce people to, right? So it's just like having that specific thing in mind as to what is my messaging at this particular conference.
Well, and Kathy, when we talk about preparation, they always say luck is when preparation meets opportunity. And all of us who take an opportunity to prepare going into something have the foresight to say, I'm going to be here and I want to make sure I have all my bases covered. Here's a good example of that outside of networking, right? I'm an outdoors person. And one of the big ethos is be prepared, right? You don't know if the weather's going to change. So, oh, wow, everything looks perfect, but I might as well have a raincoat just in case. If I don't use it, so be it. But you don't want to get out there and it starts raining and you need a raincoat and you don't have it. Same thing here. If you go to an event, it's a great opportunity leading into that event. And I'm not talking about the 11th hour, everybody, right? That's sometimes, Kathy, we get the outreach from people and it's like, I'm in the parking lot, I'm getting ready to walk through the door, and I just realized I don't have the card I was thinking about. We want to, Okay, as soon as you know that event is going on your calendar, you might want to take 5 seconds and just be like, how would I best be prepared when I walked into this event? Because Kathy, you were talking about like, you might go to an event where you know you're going to be meeting a lot of new people. And again, online, offline, irrespective of what's going on. And your goal, and we always talk about what is the goal of the card, your goal might be, hey, I want to set that follow-up sort of virtual coffee with you where we can get to learn and know each other. Okay, do you have a card that might have a link for your calendar where they can schedule that with you? And if you don't, maybe it's time to consider, would that be valuable to have? And Kathy, to your point, if you've got them all there, you might have a few of them pre-programmed to a tap card or two, but you could quickly swap that out or shift it around so that you're best prepared going into networking events where you know that the exchange is going to happen.
Absolutely. I mean, you pack your suitcase, right? Why not pack your shuffle cards? Get
That's
those
so
all
true.
ready, like, right? They're in your phone with you and they're ready to go. So that depending on the conversation, right? If it's another leader and somebody that's, knows for me for shuffle, that
Yeah.
might be one card. But if it's a member who just wants to connect with me over something else, that could be a totally different card. So,
Yeah.
pack your shoot. What's it called? Like, make sure you have the stuff with you that you're going to need.
What it made me think of, Kathy, because again, shuffle, I think of cards, I think of your deck of cards, I think of your stacking the deck in your favor, really.
Ooh.
We're going to be using all of these sort of card analogies, I think, as we move forward with shuffle, especially as it relates to networking, because this is one of the intended purposes behind the creation of shuffle in the first place, right? It used to be that you just had one card and it was a digital business card. And then, Kathy, we would get these questions like, I've got multiple businesses, or I want to highlight a product or a service that's in my business. And we really started expanding that. That's why everybody gets their 10 cards in their stack to start out with. But it's making sure that you're making most use of those things, right? You want to go in and you want to say, okay, I've got to introduce myself. I want to be able to connect. I want people to be able to schedule an appointment with me. If you don't want everybody to be able to schedule an appointment with you, but you want to introduce yourself to everybody, you might have 2 cards. One that goes out to those select few where the conversation leads to like, we need to carry this forward. Let's get some time on the books, Or you might just have a schedule with me card and your intro card. And when the opportunity presents itself, not only do they have your introduction card, you're following up with the schedule card. So there's a lot of flexibility on these things, but we have to be proactive on thinking ahead of how we can leverage the tool that we have at our disposal to go out and be as successful as possible at each one of these events. You don't want to walk out of the event like, I know, Kathy, people go to networking events, they walk out of the event and they didn't make a single connection.
Makes me so sad.
They did some collecting, they got a bunch of business cards, right? They're like, hey, I got this stack. No, we want to go in there, we want to make connections, and then we want to leave the event following through with every single one of those connections. And if we just do that one change in our business, the impact that it can have can be so powerful.
Right. Well, do you want to leave a conference? I mean, technically, right? If I collected these at a meeting and I never really talked to the person who handed it to me, these mean as much to me as they do to you right now. Like if I handed these to you, ER, right? You'd be like, wait, what would you like me to do? Is that trash? Should we throw it away for you?
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, I would rather go somewhere, meet my neighbors, maybe meet, 3 or 4 people, have actual real conversation.
So true.
Follow up with those 3 people. And next week I'll work on the next 3 people or 2 people or whatever. And I saw some people mention like being introverted and online networking. I think some of the conversation too, not necessarily has to be today, but it's like concentrating on the one person, right? It could be one person that you talk to that week, not overwhelming your schedule. I actually just had a whole conversation with a friend of mine yesterday about, she used to use one of the online calendars. And she was like, you know what? It was mentally taxing to put out all this time and let anybody kind of schedule my day for me instead of me being in charge of my day. And then, of course, you get the people that no show or they're late or it runs long or whatever. And she's like, so I've taken back control of that. And instead of just giving this blanket time that you can meet with me, I make a very concerned effort when I meet the person, like, hey, let's do this at this time and let me look at my calendar and see what works. And that
Absolutely.
for her, and it would be for me too, right? It's less overwhelm, right? Because whether or not you meet with that person, have a nice chit chat with them, that next meeting, especially for someone who's introverted or shy, that's a lot of sweaty palms, pressure. What are we going to talk about? What am I going to say? What are my questions am I going to ask? And it's like, just take it, like, just remember they're a person, take it down and make it something simple. Make it a quick phone call. Just
Yeah.
get to know them a little bit better. I actually put on my little slips for my networking group. It just says, I'd like to get to know you better, so that people can connect and give each other little slips, and they just can they can connect afterwards. That's how they call it a connect. So it's our connect slips.
I think another thing, Kathy, when I think about it, and Guy and I have been talking about this a lot, where we were talking about, marketing and networking online.
Mhm.
And we feel like so many people are doing it wrong, where they're just sort of pushing information out, pushing information out, pushing information out. And part of it is a two-way street, where you got to be pulling information in, pulling information in, pulling information in, and you're going to be starting or forming these relationships. So you might be getting people's cards because not everybody has a digital business card. So whether you're using that object content recognition, that OCR piece that's in the add new contacts and shuffle, where you can scan those business cards, like sit around before the event and practice that and say, okay, I see it doesn't work 100% of the time, but it works about 95% of the time. Sometimes I have to swap the first name for some of the other suggestions and things like that. But is that going to help me, if I walk away with that stack of other people's cards, get that information in so I can start working that relationship? Or likewise, we've all gone through trainings where we can create a campaign, add a lead capture form, and it could be just like the Let's Connect button on Kathy's cards, where it's like, whoop, there's the lead capture form. They fill it out, and behind it is like, thank you for filling that out. I'm so excited to connect with you and have a conversation and get to know each other. And I think these things go hand in hand, because one, we want to work the relationships we're getting in the network. But the second most thing is we want to have the follow through. And we really want to be able to go through the new relationships to open up the door to future relationships. And Kathy, I know we're going to talk a little bit today about Card Index.
Mhm.
And really, it's how do we empower somebody else to promote us just like we promote ourselves, right?
Well, and just what you just said, which I think was actually kind of a cool way to look at it, right? So your cards is the push out,
Mhm.
and the card index is the pull in.
Mhm.
Right? So you're getting their information, and but of course, I also want to go back to what you're saying about scanning business cards, right? Practice, 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 practice. You can get that very quick if you sit there and practice. I mean, even if it's the same card that you're practicing with, or if you do have a bunch of cards somewhere in a box, practicing a quick scan of that card, fixing anything that's in there, and getting it in. And just remember, even if you don't fix it the first time, you can go back. You're going to have a picture of the card in your phone.
That's right.
But it's that feature alone sells so many people on Needing Shuffle. Just being able to go like, wait a minute, I don't have to have a stack of cards in this box or in a book or in a binder or wherever. I'm like, yeah, no.
Well,
So
I want to give a
that
quick
alone.
a little tip on the OCR scanning stuff, guys. When you go in your app, and maybe we'll take a second after we go through Card Index or before and show it within the app, you do not have to have the card present with you in order to use that. This is a tip of the pros, if you will. So if you're at an event and somebody hands you a card and you have not practiced enough to scan it in real time, and I've done scanning in real time. It takes a few seconds, but it's pretty quick, and you can hand it back and you can show them what you just did. And that's sort of that magic that we always talk about. You can just take a photo of their card, and then you can come back to your photo library in your phone and choose from those cards to OCR upload into your system. So you don't have to physically have the card present in order to do all of that stuff. You want to be able to just say, hey, quickly interaction. Oh, I'm going to take a photo of your card and give it back to you. Save a tree or whatever your comment back is. I always love to have these little quips to send back to somebody. It's sort of like, you're in the dark ages, just here you go, and then they're like, what? And yeah, save a tree, here you go, or, oh, don't worry, I just imported that into my system. How did you do that? Let me show
Well, I
you.
always say like, hey, you don't want to run out of those. I know you
Yeah.
run out of them at the worst times, right?
Oh,
So here's the
okay.
other tip. Let's go like one more level. Not only does it save you time at the event, maybe your event either has bad signal, bad Wi-Fi, or my first year, I remember calling Guy NER after traveling. You're on a plane. So you're on a plane, you have no Wi-Fi, whatever, right? You could just snap a picture of that photo or snap a photo of that card. As soon as you get off the plane, you got Wi-Fi again, you're doing whatever, and you can upload it. I think that'd be great. Do you, I'm not plugged in right now. Do you have your phone?
Yeah,
Let me have you share. Let's just go over that real fast because I think
the first thing I want to address, guys, I'm going to share my screen. We're going to go through a few things. The first thing I want to address and show on here is what Kathy was talking about with practice. Okay, we're in our Doug demo account. Obviously, we use this internally for a lot of practice, sometimes for testing and things like that. I want to go to the contacts because in my mind, this is as important, if not more important than my cards in some cases, because these are the people I'm talking with. I don't know how long I've had this card, but it's sort of my example of business card. And I'm going to pull this up. Look at this. This is each one of the virtual little card or slideshow so that I can come back to it at any time and see it. So you guys, it's sitting on the notebook on my desk. These are individual scans of me practicing. Content recognition, the OCR scanning. Let's jump over and take a look at that. Okay.
Are you on Doug Demo on your phone?
I believe so. Let me verify.
Okay. I was going to say that's what I was trying to get to too. So if you have it, I'll let you.
I do not have it up. Actually, I need to log into it.
My
account on my phone. Wouldn't you know?
Worries.
My own account.
One of us will get to it.
That's going to be a race to who can log in first.
Let's see.
Okay, I'm in. We're going to do this.
In? Okay.
Yeah.
My phone won't save all my LFI passwords. It's like, no, you have too many.
So we're going to do this. You guys will be seeing my phone screen in just a second. Here we right? And we can organize these in any way, but we're looking for Lizzie. And there she is down there. Device, that's the only place where you can do the object content recognition scanning. We're going to add it. Okay. And as you scroll through, and I want to make sure it's clear to everybody, since this is a little micro training for our Tech Tuesday, let me close this out. I've launched my Shuffle app. So I keep my Shuffle app right down on the home screen. I don't know what you've selected as your little buttons. Make sure you haven't nested it like 8 pages open and 4 folders deep, and you can get to it. Again, it's part of being prepared because you don't want to be walking around with your phone in your hand. You want to be able to pull your phone out of your pocket and pop it up real quick and do what you need to do. So when you do open up the app, I'm just navigating across the bottom navigation. The center one is contacts there. You'll see that's highlighted in red. And there's that little green plus sign that's sitting in the contacts. And I'm just plussing that, and it's to add a new contact. And as you scroll down on all these fields, and the reason why there are all these fields, if you're a person who networks in person, sometimes I'll pull up the add a new contact and just hand my phone to the person. Kathy, I'm not going to write down all your information because I won't do it accurately. I'm going to give you my phone and you're going to enter in your information, and unless you're trying to give me some fake number or fake email, on that, it says business card photo. And I'm going to click on that. And what I want you to see that pops up is take a picture or select from your camera roll. So to Kathy's point, if you're on a plane, if you're in one of those conference rooms that seems like it's inside Fort Knox and there's no Wi-Fi, just take photos of the card and you can pull it up from your camera roll. Otherwise, you can take a picture directly like that and it'll open up your camera. And again, you can just snap it and it'll capture it. And you can say, use this photo, and you'll hit use this photo. Just for the sake of the storage, I like to crop it so that it's, but you can always skip this step, but I'll crop it usually. And then I'm just hitting done when I'm done.
Definitely want to crop it.
Yeah, I think it makes a difference to hit crop, and you'll see it and it's in here and it says, do you want to scan this business card? And that's when I want to hit yes. So again, whether you have this stack of business cards, it just scanned that business card. Now I'm just going to scroll back up to where those fields are, and you can see all of that information. We didn't have to type a single bit of it. That's the key, guys. When we talk about networking in the 21st century, the number one wasted opportunity that I see, Kathy, is those business cards that just go unanswered sitting on everybody's desk or in the shoebox. Think about what your customer is worth to you. You know, think about this. If you're an attorney, it could be worth hundreds of dollars an hour. If you're a real estate agent, it could be thousands of dollars in commission. Depending on what service or product you sell, there's gold sitting in all of those business cards. That's the way you have to think about it. And if they're just continuing to sit there, the longer they sit there, the longer time goes by and the initial relationship or interaction wanes over time. So we really want to bring it into the tool as quickly as possible so we can start working and building the relationship. So I'm just going to hit the checkbox. It brings Lizzie's information in. Here's the other thing that it pops up. Do you want to add this person to your phone contact list? I see Kathy sitting there nodding her head. Here's why. If you are anything like me, guys, you get a million phone calls a day, and most of them are either labeled unknown or potential spam. So you just let them go to voicemail, essentially. That's how I screen my phone calls. But if I know you and you're in my phone list, then your name pops up. I answer the calls where there's a name. The other thing you don't want to get that weird text from a number you don't recognize. And it's like, hey, Kathy, it was so good to see you. Brenda, wonderful talking with you. And you're like, who is this person? And you don't want to be the person who like texts back like, lost my phone. Who is this? You know, or something weird like that. So you're just trying to be proactive about all of this stuff. So you'd add them to your phone contact list. Obviously, I'm not adding our example to mine, so I'm going to select no. But now it's just going to take you over there. And then we've got one more scan that we put in. So the benefit there is it's still checking the phone number and the email address, and it's not going to create like 50 versions of the same contact. It's going to try and aggregate and bundle them together. But now I have everything at my disposal. The other tip I want to add when networking and having an interaction with people, if you do not have a steel trap of a mind, you want to record the conversation that you had with those people, meaning the details, right? All of that data is information. I think James was talking about this, right? Oh, are you from the Carolinas? I'm from the Carolinas. Oh, you know, you're ex-military. I'm ex-military, retired military. Great. You're looking for these commonalities to build rapport with people. You need to be able to log that information and come back and retrieve it when it's necessary. So don't forget, I'm going to take a picture so I can draw on my screen. This notes section, guys, so critical, the notes. And there are two big things I'm going to call out on notes. And then Kathy, I'll probably let you lead the card index stuff because I know you do a lot of referring as well out of that. But on the notes, I'm going to give you guys a big tip. You can see I've got notes for Lizzie. You can either edit a note or add a note. But here's my biggest 2 tips for taking notes. Use iOS or Android, there's a good chance that your device So one of the easiest things for notes, obviously come back and proofread. These things are not 100%, but they give us an advantage. Do you want to sit there and type with your thumbs all the details of the conversation you just had with that person? Or do you want to click on this little thing, great conversation with Lizzie. We just talked about X, Y, and Z, and she's so excited about the product that my company is launching. She can't wait to order a boatload of it. And I just need to follow up with her on Monday to take the order. Obviously, you're going to review that, but guys, that's taking a note. It doesn't get any simpler than that, except for one other thing, one other tip. Okay, and I'm going to get out of this. We're not even going to save it. When you're doing notes, and I'm just adding a new note, this is the other tip, guys. Attachments. Add a new photo. If you are, again, like me, I have not gotten rid of the vestige of having a notebook. There's something that helps my mind when I go to a meeting, and I don't care if it's chicken scratch, I'm drawing little stick figures, or I'm writing down numbers. That helps me recall elements of the conversation. I'm just going to write my note.
Not only that, but it makes the other people in the room think that you're interested in paying attention.
I mean, can you imagine? It used to be that way in grad school. You'd be sitting there taking copious amounts of notes, and the professor would be like, okay, I'm not going to call on ER because he's busy learning. Whereas the person who's not, and they're sort of wandering around, oh, I'll call on Brenda, raise your hand, you know, that type of stuff. Again, these are all little elements, but they make a big difference. And if you do them correctly, they actually create an efficiency for you. And that's really what this is all about, because if it's simple to do and fast to do, you will do it more. You just have to get over that force of friction of adopting it. So we're going to take a new note, a photo, and we can take the picture. Guys, here's my note. Use that. Done. Then it's loading that up, and now I forever will have my note attached. I'm just going to hit check mark, enter a subject.
Very important note.
You know, and then in the future, when I go to have that follow-up goes off that says it's time to follow up with Lizzie, it's now Monday, and you have to take that order for the boatload of product that she wants to buy. Okay, and I can quickly review that. And again, this is going to be on your desktop computer. This is going to be on your phone. So we have one location where we're putting all of that information about the people that we're meeting. Guys, it's just as important to have the push that we talk about so often, the marketing of ourself, our service, our product, the cards that we build to use, as we need the pull to gather other people's information. That's the biggest part, because once we know other people's information, the biggest piece of value, and I'm going to kick this over to Kathy, the biggest piece of value that we can be is the solution provider, by either learning if we can provide the solution, or we can refer them to the person who can provide that solution. And Kathy, I know they call you the connector sometimes, and it's because they'll come to Kathy and they'll say, hey, Kathy, here's what I'm looking for, right? I'm looking for this, that, or the other thing. This is my need. And there's a good chance, Kathy, because of what you do, you're like, you know, I know a plumber, or I know a landscaper, I know a roofer, I know because it's always at the most inopportune time. My pipes just bursted, you know? We just had a storm, and now I have a roof leak, and I want to get it fixed, and I'm looking for a valid solution, and I don't want to go beat the bushes to find the person that's not qualified. I want to go back to my peer group, and I want to ask for that recommendation. And guys, think about it. Think about it. When was the last time you were looking for somebody and you went out and you asked your peers for a recommendation? Because it's happening all the time, in my opinion. Happens to my wife in their, you know, mommy groups all the time, where everybody's like, hey, we're looking for a babysitter. Hey, we need a plumber. Hey, we need a roofer. We need a landscaper. We need the guy to come mow the yard, or watch the dogs, or, you know, take care of this or do this. And, you know, somebody is sitting in there bouncing around going, I'm getting all the business because I've empowered people to refer me business.
Absolutely. And I mean, especially when you have people that are outside the box, right? That's babysitters usually pretty easy. You know, I need somebody to make a dozen cookies. That's usually pretty easy. I got to introduce a friend of mine the other day who is a mental health expert. And she was just like, I can't believe you thought of me. And I'm like, why wouldn't I think of you? I'd say, you know, you're a friend of mine and you're in my group, and of course I'm going to think of you. So it's funny to me sometimes too, when you refer people, they're like, "Oh, well, thank you." And you're like, well, of course. That's what we're supposed to do. And then when
Well,
everybody was
but Kathy, think about that. Do you think the credibility that Kathy has with that individual just went up by a factor of 10, because Kathy thought of her when the time is right? And guess what? The next time that mental health professional is thinking of who to refer for connecting, networking, business, tech, any of those types, the time where it's just like there's so much opportunity within business networking. There are just so many points of friction that can be resolved if we're just leveraging the right technologies.
Yeah. So I keep freezing. So hopefully this doesn't freeze while I'm chatting. But I think that the two most, well, okay, I'm going to go back and dip in on one thing that ER said earlier, just because we haven't told the story in a long time. But one of the other things about networking is, and this is to the people who, kind of makes your palms sweat and you're just not sure and you don't know why you're going and you really don't want to get out of the house, or you don't want to get online or whatever it is, it's not always the person that you meet. You never know who that person might introduce you to. And to me, that will get me up and get me out of bed. I'm just like, ooh, who might be in the interweb today that I get to meet because of another person? And of course, I mean, I have met people through Shuffle, work with them still to this day. As a matter of fact, I was texting with one of them earlier that I met in my very first events that I went to networking. Very, very first things that I walked into and was like, oh, I'm meeting this person. Was super excited to meet you, but they're like, oh, I need to introduce you to this person who wasn't even at the meeting. And I'm still friends. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still friends with that person.
For a second. So but that's the reality, right? It's not just selling to people, it's selling through people. I think one of the biggest mistakes, in my personal opinion, with business networking groups is that somebody comes in with the misconception that there's a group of people they're going to sell to. And really what it is a group of people that I want to form relationships so that we can extend our reach into each other's spheres of influence and sell to those people. You know what I mean? And when I look around here, we say the quotes all the time. We say the statistics all the time because we want to drive the point home. The average person knows how many? 600 people. 600 people. I'm on a Zoom right now with you guys. There are 10 other people. Okay, we're going to do some easy math. 600 times 10, we just add another zero. There's literally a sphere of 6,000 people on average within this group.
Although Shelly did it last time, her phone was insane how many people she had in her phone.
Oh yeah, mine's more like a few thousand, and you scroll down on your phone contacts. And we have to think about the channels, right? If you pull up your phone contacts and you scroll to the very bottom of your phone contacts, it will give you a count. Okay, we can all do the exercise right now. Just go ahead and swipe open your phone. It should be about a 2-second process. Go to your contacts.
I have 4,463.
Wow. That's crazy.
Wow, 4,463. Again, I'm just talking averages, guys. I'm going to show you the average number right here.
Oh yeah, you got to be in front of it. Oh, what is it?
606 on my phone contact list. So I'm about as close to the average as possible on that. And guys, that's just my phone contact list, right? Think about my LinkedIn connections. Think about my Facebook connection. Yeah, Shelly. Think about each one of these areas or spheres that we have interaction with people on. Whether it's Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok, all of these types of things. Now, not every one of those people is going to be our ideal next relationship. But again, each person we meet, if they open the door to 600 other people, think about the exponential growth potential of that, because somebody may open the door to your ideal customer base, where it's not just, I know 2 or 3 people, like half the people I know could use your solution.
You said selling through people. We're also meeting through people, right?
Exactly.
I can invite you to something where, I literally tell people every month, come meet my people. And it's not like I curate the group that way, but it's like, that's who it's become, right? It's like-minded people who also want to invite people who have that abundance mentality, who enjoy, introducing people to people. And then you just have this great time together. And then you're like, oh, by the way, we all do business together too.
Yep. Well, I think a funny misconception is that you want to protect your network because you don't want somebody to steal somebody from you.
Again, abundance mentality.
Right? Think about that. Like, have you ever met somebody and they're like, I won't introduce you to anybody because I don't want them to know you because then they won't know me. And it's like, they already know you. You know what I mean? It's your responsibility to build those relationships so that we all know each other. And that's more of that abundance mentality. I think that's a huge misconception that a lot of people have. And then it stifles their potential growth as well. And they don't even realize that's what's happening. So my thought is always like, hey, you want to see the list? Like, go ahead. Here it is. If you think you can work it and make relationships out of it, have at it, because that's what it's all about. I'm still going to have those relationships with those people. So I will freely introduce people, connect people, share with people, and all of that type of stuff, because there's a good chance you don't do what I do. You're different.
Not only that, but it's the people who also like they hoard the people to themselves and they don't want to introduce them to anyone else that does what they do.
Yeah.
Right? Like your wife's photographer. What if she already has a wedding this weekend and I need her for this weekend? If you have an abundance mentality, you're like, you know what? Let me introduce you to another friend of mine who does photography. She is amazing. They are amazing, whatever. I'd rather have 10 of those people at my, resource fingertips to, hey, I don't know who's available, but here's 7 cake bakers.
I mean,
right?
James Flowers set the exact example with DJing, right? I can only DJ one event at a time, and yet I got 5 weddings going on this weekend. So I got four deals. And you know what he said? He said, hey, I'll make the referral if you give me a sliver of that. Maybe it's a 10% revenue share, something like that. My wife, in her photography business, the same thing. She can only shoot one event at a time. And she's got a pool of friend photographers where they will, oh, I can't cover this. Do you want to bid for this contract? And they reciprocate. That's the other thing. You look for some type of reciprocation. If it's a one-way street, it's not going to last long term. And you have to realize sometimes the one-way street is you.
Sometimes you get to that end of that street and have to make a U-turn, right?
That's right. And then you're coming back sort of eating crow as you go along saying, oh, I should have done this and I should have done that.
So talking about, let's just dip into card index real quick. I think that, there's the obvious way, and we can go on there and look at it, but there's the obvious way of going to somebody's card and sharing that card. But I will tell you that the majority of the time that I'm using that is online. So it's on, say a random Facebook group, a mom's group, a business moms group, whatever it is. And it's somebody that I don't even know who's looking for the referral.
Yep.
Right. And so that's when I use those shuffle card links probably the most. It's not that I'm not shuffling, everybody's cards out of there and sending them like you would in the app, but it's like, especially when you have somebody who's looking, they're just like, I'm looking for this, and you have that person. And I actually have a slide on this I could pull up sometime. It's like, would you rather me take a picture, right? Here you go. Here's my friend. Take a picture of this and add it to Facebook, right? I didn't tell them really anything. If I go take an extra second, grab their link from their shuffle card, put the link in there and go, here's my friend's digital business card. You can get to know her better here. They click on it. Now they have that curated information that your friend put together. It maybe has a video, it has pictures, it tells them where the location is, whatever it is that they've made, right? And then you've kind of just given them this person a pathway to meet your friend versus static card.
The connector, right? We just want to give you a pathway to the point. If I'm going to introduce Richard to Greg, you know what I mean? I think Richard wants to curate the experience that Greg is going to have. And I'm just connecting. Oh yeah, I know this guy, Richard. He can totally help you out, Greg. Here is his digital business card. And now it's on Richard to have information on his card that's going to connect and appeal to Greg. And Kathy, I agree. Like, would Richard rather me send a link to his digital business card or a picture of a piece of paper?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think, too, that goes back to your preparedness. What does your card say about you? And does it introduce you to a stranger? Yep. Do you have something in your deck that you not only are you ready to share, but really that your referral network is ready to share on your behalf. Hey, it was, thank you so much, for contacting me. You obviously got my information from a friend, blah, 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 blah. Go ahead, Ruben.
Kathy, and especially those that you've done promo cards for and they disappeared or they're not in your group again. They'll pop up on Facebook and say, guess what? I'm moving my business to Colorado. You still have their promo card. So you put that right in there and all of a sudden, guess what? Beep, you see it. You see that they looked at it.
So
Absolutely. Absolutely. And again, to your point, right? So you have all their cards in your card index, or you've given them a promo card. You see when they see it, when they open it. So you either know that I'm looking at your card because I need you, or I'm looking at your card because I'm sharing you. Right? So your referral network, these people that you do business with, do life with, are constantly in, sharing space with, are out there thinking about you.
That's right. That's right. And I think the other thing is, again, we sometimes focus on sharing out other people's information when we talk about making referrals. The other side of that coin is empowering other people to share out our information, and we can't lose sight of that. So this is why, like, if you're out business networking and you're collecting people's cards and you can see that they don't have a digital business card, right? That's the opportunity to say, look, here's my digital business card, and here's a free gift to create your own digital business card. Then I can have your card with me and I can refer you business. But the alternative side of that is then they can have my card with them in their card index and they can start referring me business. Now, you don't have to say that, but that's what is implied by the whole exchange of digital business cards between each other and housing those cards. And if you just saw, if you just saw Ruben's background there, guys, look, he literally has his network sitting there, all of their cards, as almost like a screen on his phone. And that, I mean, look, if you have a phone and you can hold so many different things, you could make that the last page on your phone is my most frequent people I connect and refer business to. There's so many different ways to accomplish this, but it all has the tool as the underlying component to that.
Absolutely. Let's open it up for questions. If there's anything specific we haven't talked about or need to cover or show or not.
Yeah, Brenda, go ahead. I see that your hand is raised.
Hey, everyone. I had a question, two things. One, I've been in a situation where I went to an event and I was not prepared.
That is
But my
okay.
coach, Mike, he got me prepared as far as putting notes and making a campaign for that event. Two, you talked about the index card. So you are building your index for your contacts in order to share to other prospects, the people that are reaching out to you, because my index is people that I know. So is that what you're doing, Kathy? You're building your index with people that you can refer to?
So the card index, do you have yours up again? Yours might be easier to share.
And I can show it, and we can show it on desktop and phone, but I'll go ahead and show it on phone here.
So basically, my card index is other Shuffle users.
Correct.
That have sent me their card via Shuffle.
Okay.
That I can then send their card on their behalf.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
So it is friends and relationships to some degree, because trust me, guys, you don't want to make a bad referral. Right?
Correct.
You don't want to make a bad referral. And Kathy, I know you and I have talked about this, right? Why do I want to have maybe 3 or 4 real estate friends? Right? Because that person in my group who's the realtor may not be the best realtor, and I don't feel comfortable referring them. So the referrals that you're making and what you're collecting in your card index are the people that you believe are worth sharing. And I mean, obviously, if you're networking out there, you're collecting other people's cards, but you're making a mental note of some of those things. Would I share this person's information? It's the first question you ask, right? Would I share this person's information if somebody was looking for what this person does? So I'm going to launch Shuffle here. Okay, we're going to get out of the notes section because it opens to where we were last at, and we're back in contacts. And I'm going to call out a section up here at the top. Okay, this is all part of the contacts section. There we go. Contacts, tags, and card index. Okay. Now, obviously, under any one of my contacts who shared a card with me, I can pull up their shared cards and see their cards and grab one and share it out. Okay, but if I go to Card Index, they're all in one location. So a lot of us on the call, we know Anna, there's Anna's card. If I said, oh, you know who you should meet my friend Anna. She's out of Wiggins, Colorado. Great person worth connecting to. That's the card for Seekwise Counsel that I would connect people with. And then I'm just clicking the little gear in the top corner and I can clone the card, open the card, or share the card.
Okay,
And then what Kathy is talking about is doing that or grabbing this information from her desktop view, because typically you're maybe, sending an email or connecting people that way.
We don't send emails. No, I do all this on my phone. So the other thing you could do, Brenda, if you do meet a lot of people like I do now, I don't do this. I don't want anyone to take this the wrong way, but if you needed to, you could actually have a tag. I was thinking about this as you were talking, like your VIP referrals.
Mhm.
So maybe you do know several people or you meet several people that do something and you have their shuffle card. But these are your VIP referral partners, right? And so you could
My
tag
teammates,
people.
you know,
Mhm.
all
I
that
call
type
them
of stuff.
A1 so that they're at the top.
There you go. They could be your A1. So you could tag them and maybe have them be your, again, your VIPs or, the people that you refer to the most. So another idea on that note, if you have a curated group of people, maybe you have a networking group that you're in. I think Ruben and I may have talked about this at one time. I know AC is a friend of mine. He's done this for his group. I did this at one point. This was it was a gift that I did for my group one year. Is I actually made a shuffle card for that group and included the link to all of those people. So that could be another my
It's a directory
VIP
card
group.
in a way, right? Here's the directory. I've grabbed other people's cards. I've created what we would call like a link hub of all of their cards. And it's just a series of outbound links that go to their individual cards. And then, Kathy, we talked about that. The same example for when you go to your event and you've got these sample cards, you have one card to share that links out to all these other cards. And we've talked about creating the micro site or how to link. You just grab the other card link and add that one to the button on the card that you're editing.
And this is also a great way to grow Shuffle, right? So, I mean, if you're talking to somebody, they don't have Shuffle yet, you're like, hey, I would love to have your card in my phone for the next time I meet people. I meet people all the time that need whatever it is you do.
Yep.
And they're like, okay, well, I don't have that. So how do I do that? Oh, well, let me get you a free account to start. Let's get your one free card set up right now. Super
Right.
simple. Phone and email is all we need. Get that going. And then if you find that you're using it and you're really enjoying it, I can show you how to upgrade to get, more and why you, and then they're like, okay, why would I? So I say, we can upgrade you to get 10 cards in Bubble. And they're like, well, why would I need 10 cards? Well, okay, let's talk about what you do and how you could use it. And they're like, oh, well, I need that then. I don't even need that free thing you were
And I'll skip
talking
over
about.
the
Let's,
free and go straight in.
yeah, let's go straight into that other thing.
I mean, this
So-
is why I think, guys, again, if we're networking in the 21st century, which is the theme of this week, it would behoove us that if we encounter people who do not have a digital card, and guys, there's a lot of digital card tools out there. So if they have a digital card, great, you can grab that and save it wherever you want to save it. But if they don't have one, and I'm talking about 99% of the population, it's your opportunity to give them something for free. And as Kathy just mentioned, in that qualification of giving them something for free, they might disqualify themselves out of free and say, no, I need the whole kit and caboodle, as they say. I want all the bells and whistles. I want my cards to look like your cards. I want that tool that you're using to tap on devices. I want these things. And all we're doing is we're bringing them into this Shuffle community, right? This LFI community to be part of this business networking in the 21st century. And, I know, Kathy, you and I get to see a little bit more of the vision of on how people network, whether they're in existing groups like Ruben with NTI, right? Kathy with DOTS and stuff like that. It's powerful. And when people recognize the power of that and the efficiency that it creates, it's almost like in hindsight, when you look back and you're like, why did I ever even do it that old way? It was so inefficient and it didn't even work. And then there's a whole world of people whose eyes haven't been opened up and they're still in the trap of doing it the old way. And they're wondering why they're not getting the results that they're looking for.
Yep, I agree. I agree. Any other questions? Anything else? Anybody not sure how to find a part of the app? Anything we're talking about? Not sure how to? Ruben.
Okay, just in the Wall Street Journal this past week, they said, guys, the hackers know you. In other words, they're scaring people. But then these are large companies that are being hacked. Okay,
Yeah.
so they go where the money is. So, in a way, but then again, people don't know that when you meet them and you go bing, wow, whatever. So be aware of that and be able to allay their fears by saying what ER says. Repeat that little sentence you say, ER, about the technology and what we actually do and do not do.
Yeah, look, guys, from a security standpoint, I'm going to tell you how people could get into your account right now. There's only one way. If you give them your username and your password. So don't put your password as 12345 or anything like that. That's the only way. When I talk to people and they ask about security within our platform, this is all SSL encrypted secure socket layers. This is the same type of encryption that banks are using when they transmit data online, right? There are aspects of the back end database that are completely encrypted as well. And again, this is all for a business card. You know what I mean? So from that standpoint, it's as secure as some financial institutions and things like that, guys. Literally, we don't even have access to your guys' passwords over on our end, right? The only thing I can do is send you a reset link because it's all been encrypted on that end. And I think a lot of people lose sight of that, or it's the fear mongering that Ruben was talking about. So we have to be aware of some of that stuff. The other thing I want to mention, unless there are any other questions, when it comes to building your card index, and there's something special. I remember I was on a call with a business networking group, and they had just come back from overseas in the Netherlands, and they were there and they encountered some shufflers out in the Netherlands. And they said there was something just as magical when two shufflers come together, because they can scan each other's cards using the app, and it makes the connection like that. It shares each other's card, or the card of the scanner right there, and then the other one scans. So be aware when you go to scan, when you go to scan the QR code, there's a thing in the app that you can pull up that's the QR scanner. And if you're using that versus your phone scanner, it will save that card automatically to your card index, and it'll create a connection in Shuffle for you. Alternatively, if the person, yep, you can see Kathy's pointing to it right now. Alternatively, if you're meeting somebody, again, the same thing. If you say, hey, you should save my card. I know we all want to practice and be proactive. There are a few different things, right? You can save card to home screen. Yep, you just pull up the QR code. The other person who has Shuffle hits the QR scanner, you scan, and it makes the connection and saves the card. Then you reverse it with the other person. And now both people are connected and they have each other's cards in the
If you
card.
actually pull up that scanner and do Shelly's QR code right there, nice
Yeah.
and big, you can actually get that and it goes right into your phone.
Yep, and it will just connect. So again, this is one of those proactive things that we've done within the application. This is the big differentiator. Again, there are a lot of digital business card platforms out there that give you one card and one link. Great. Are they forming relationships? Are they creating groups or networks of people? Are they allowing people to save each other's cards and make them easily accessible and reshareable? We're just not seeing that outside of Shuffle. Alternatively, again, we talked about giving people free business cards. If you want somebody to save your card, you've got a few routes. Kathy, I know there's a process where you can hold down, just like saving a web page, and save it to your home screen. That's the process that Ruben's doing to have those, where their face looks like an app on his phone. If you're a salon owner, if you're somebody who does repeat business with your customers and you want to make it easy for your customer to come schedule an appointment with you or to book a reservation or anything like that, guess what? When you give your card to them, show them quickly how to make it accessible on their phone. If they're a business person and they need Shuffle as well, show them how they can go to that Save My Card. And on the bottom of most of our cards, we have Forward My Card, we have Save My Card. And they'll give you the option for them to save it to their phone contacts or save it to card index. And they can go through that save it to card index, and it will allow them to create a Shuffle account so that they can save it. And now what's the benefit of having your card in somebody's card index?
When you
Anybody's-
update it,
Yeah, when you update it, right? When you change information, you can send out an alert, and anybody who has your card in their card index, their phone goes, bzz. You know how many times I viewed your guys' cards because I got a little notification that Ruben had updated a card, or Greg had updated a card, or Anna had updated a card, and I can check it out. It's another attractant back for those eyeballs to come back and remind themselves of who you are and what you do. These all collectively play a big role in us fostering deeper relationships with the people we want to work with. Anna,
Yeah.
you got your hand up. Go ahead.
Yes, I do. Let's see if I can take it down. Now, somebody took it down for me.
I
Great.
did.
we
Thank
got you. We got you.
I found out that the only way to get ER's attention is to shuffle, do his shuffle chatter. He responds right away to that. So that was a big lesson learned this week.
If I'm logged in, I just went on the demo
I'm-
account, and sometimes I'll be on the demo account until I have to use my shuffle again, and I go, I forgot to log out. So be aware.
That
Text
happens.
is number one, everybody. Text is number one. If you have my shuffle card, text me.
Yes. I just wanted to say that there's one little thing that we're missing when we talk about the wonders of shuffle. Most digital business cards, and I won't say that. Some digital business cards don't offer you the ability to even access your tracking to see what's more effective and what is not, which is critical. And we have that, but a lot of digital business card outfits that are out there are actually, what do they call it when you put your label on another person's bottle of wine? What do they
White
call
label.
that? White label. Most of them are white labels for networking organizations and stuff, and they're earning money off of that, and they have all the tracking information, and you don't have access to that. So ask them, do you want to know what's working for you?
Yeah.
Well, here's a card that gives you that information.
Yeah, I think that's wise. I mean, we need to keep in the back of our mind all of these additional benefits that Shuffle and LFI and Tap can bring to the table. You know,
Well, and I think too, to realize, and we've talked about this before on a different subject, is we don't own your contacts. We don't use your contacts. We don't email your contacts. Your contacts are your contacts, right? Where a lot of companies, if you use their back office as your office, technically they own your contacts, right? So that's why
If you leave,
always,
they keep them.
yep,
I
double
mean,
dip.
I've seen that happen, Anna, more than I can count, where a high-level leader, right? We're talking a 7-figure earner has watched their entire database get turned off overnight, and they're scrambling to start from scratch with 0 contacts. In my mind, if your network is your net worth, you need to own your contacts. You need to own your list. Even if it's mirrored somewhere else, guys, this is why we don't own your list. This is your data. We provide the tool. It's all yours. If you want to export it out, export it out. You know what I mean? But man, the number of times I've seen somebody get locked out of their account overnight, not Shuffle account, their corporate account somewhere else, and just been like, what's going on? Or, something didn't happen and all of a sudden tomorrow the company didn't exist, or they changed. I saw one where they changed, we're no longer going to do this. So therefore all you guys goodbye. We're going to keep all the customers and go on. And they're like, what? So your network is your net worth. You need to own your network. You know what I mean? You need to back it up. Obviously it's all in your Shuffle, but make sure you have it.
Rose said it happened to her. Did you have something else, Anna?
Yeah, I did. It's extremely important as any kind of a network marketer working with a networking organization who just doing network. Download your reports.
Mhm.
Download them. If you can find a Zapier link or something that you can move them into your CRM, whatever you're using, Google or Zoho, whatever you're using, download them on a regular basis, because when one of our companies switched overnight to a new way of doing things, they stopped. We get what you call pre-cancel reports, they stopped putting people's addresses on there. They stopped putting their personal information on those reports.
Yeah.
It's only because I ran a report every single month that I was able to go back and reinstate folks that, you know, had to drop it for a financial reason, or somebody died, or a bank account changed, or whatever. But when they changed that system over, I had not lost them because I downloaded those reports. So,
Yeah.
important.
Save
Download
early,
your stuff
save
regularly.
often, right? Yeah.
So I wanted to jump back real quick and chat. We can touch on this for Rose Michelle. I'd love to help owners of a gym that I am part of promote their franchise. They are new in the area.
Great.
We
Great.
could noodle on that. I mean, of course, immediately I'm thinking a digital business card with QR codes everywhere, right? Different reasons for different QR codes. I actually,
100%. QR is probably, again, I'm thinking if you're offline, we're going to talk strategy here sort of in closing. If you're offline, there are two tools that are going to be
everywhere,
invaluable.
QR codes.
It's your tap tool. Imagine all of your personal trainers or gym employees walking around with the tap card and just welcoming their guests. I mean, again, you want to keep your existing customer, and then you want to turn your customers into brand champions who will then go out and bring in your next customer. What they link this to is the next big question, right? But this is a good way to share. And then as Kathy was talking about, where you seeing them all over, QR code, QR code, QR code, all over here. To have QR codes at the exit of the gym, the entrance of the gym, to leave us a review on the gym door, right? The locker room, the trainer's facility. I would QR the heck out of things and put little labels underneath them for what that QR leads to. Because if you just have QRs, they're all going to look the same, even though they might link to different information. A third element of strategy, Rose Michelle, that I would do. I used to work at a gym. That was the first job I ever had. You see those guys spinning the sign like 2 weeks for free, come on in. I did that, right? Come into the gym, get your 2-week pass, and then offering that trial or that free invite where you could turn around and say, hey, great, you're a member. How would you like my gym? It used to be if you referred somebody, you got a month for free. You know, I don't know how they're growing their customer base, but there are some of those types of promotions. So things like leaving a review. If it's a new business in town and five-star reviews, that's something they could do. Inviting new patrons, a guest pass is a great thing. Scan this for 2 weeks free. All of that type of stuff, depending on where they're doing or printing promotion. I mean, we could go on and on with the ideas, but most of us, we just have to sit for 5 minutes and start thinking about that. The thing about a gym is it's in person. It has a physical location. So we're thinking about the paths to share, right? It could be join our social media, you know, and then people could be sharing and posting, and it's all tied to the gym page. So there's a lot of different strategies they could go down the path of.
Well, a lot of times your trainers, right, are 1099 employees who are also trying to bring in business that just work at the gym, right? So their tap card,
Yeah.
yep, book a session. You gotta, you know, come to this gym, book with me. This is where I work. So it gets them in the door to the gym as well. Have a card that you share to your customers. Have the customers be out sharing it. So somebody comes in and shows their phone and goes, "Hey, Rose Michelle sent me this, said I can get one for free and come check out your gym."
Yep.
You know, then you get mentioned for sending it to them. I mean, they can all live off of the company's, you know, shuffle application. I think there's all kinds of stuff you could do.
For people to connect with those types of things.
So hopefully that helped. There's more sample videos scrolling across.
Guys, I know we're at the top. Oh, go ahead, Kathy, we got you back.
Oh yeah, I know. See, it's so bad. No, I was just saying, somebody said virtual classes on Zoom, all that good stuff. There's so many things that you could do.
Yeah.
So, but yes, I know the hour goes by so fast. It's so
Time
quick.
flies when you're having fun, as they say, guys. I enjoy this call every week. I know we got to look at a little bit of the how-to on the technology side. We talked a lot about how to capture people's information. That OCR scanning is a big feature. If you're not using it, practice going into the event. Remember that you can always take photos of people's cards and import them later on. So great thing for if you're on a plane or anything like that as well. Make sure to use those notes and those follow-ups. There's nothing like building a relationship when you have the right information. And then save and build the card index, invite other people to get their digital business card for free or upgrade into premium. And let's get out there and start networking, right? Let's build relationships. Let's make more connections and let's watch our businesses grow. That's what it's all about.
Awesome. Well, I will get with Guy and ER. We'll figure out if we have a plan for next week or not, because I will be in the car on this day next week, actually on the way to their neck of the woods. So we'll figure out next Tuesday, and hopefully somebody will be here at 2:00, probably doing something fun. Probably that one. And then I will see you the week after that back. Oh, I might be back. I may not be back then either. We'll see. I'll be coming back
Safe
around.
travels.
Yes,
You guys be good. Have a good week. If you need anything, you know how to find us, and we'll talk to you soon.
Same to you. Safe travels.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Bye,
Bye,
everybody.
everyone. Bye. Bye, Kathy.